Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It is October 1st, 2023 and La Liga's president Javier Tebas has called for UEFA to open an investigation into Barcelona. Also, the club have reportedly began communications with Corinthians for the signing of Gabriel Moscardo. And finally, Ernesto Valverde has called Barcelona's DNA a lie. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. It only takes a second, and in doing this you will be helping this small and humble channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kickback, and if you are looking to place any sports bets on any sporting event, make sure you hit the bet us. Both links are down below in the description. Now begin with the news that La Liga's president Javier Tebas has called for UEFA to investigate Barcelona in regards to the Enriquez case in the recent interview that he did. Now, as you might recall, and as I reported in previous videos, Barcelona have been charged with bribery for the Enriquez case because after the prosecutor's office could not find any evidence of sports corruption, which is what Barcelona were initially charged with, then the judge has decided now to instead charge Barcelona with bribery because according to the judge, he feels like there was some kind of crime committed here, and since they couldn't prove one crime, he has now trying to prove a different crime, which of course is absolutely ridiculous and a clear indication that this is nothing but a smear campaign, because you cannot just change the crime that you want to charge someone with just because you feel like there was a crime. There's absolutely no evidence of any kind of crime, then the case should be dismissed rather than continue to try to change the legal definitions to see whether whatever happened can fit into your definition in order to make a case out of it. Now, Javier Tebas was asked about this Enriquez case during an interview, and he said, "A player who allows himself to be bought for me has the same component of gravity as the referee who makes a penalty call. We are talking about sports corruption, and it is not consummated with the purchase or the result achieved, but with the mere intention to influence, which is already a crime." Now, Javier Tebas with these statements trying to suggest that Barcelona are still guilty of sports corruption regardless of what the result is, because it looks like he's trying to cover his back or trying to find some kind of sneaky way to still call Barcelona guilty, because since there's been no evidence of Barcelona bribing referees or influencing matches, he's trying to say that it's still a crime because Barcelona intended to influence the matches, and therefore it is a crime just because of their intention. And even though legally speaking he is correct, but I must remind Javier Tebas that there's no evidence even with that Barcelona intended to influence any matches or intended to bribe any referees. The prosecutor's office has simply not found any evidence of that. Now, Javier Tebas made it even worse because, of course, he cannot go through an interview without mentioning Barcelona. And he said that UEFA should open a file and investigate Barcelona. And more specifically, Tebas said, "If I am in favor of Barca having been relegated or not having played in the Champions League because of the Negreira case, what I was saying is that a disciplinary file be opened in UEFA." So Tebas again calling for UEFA to open a disciplinary file into Barcelona in order to investigate the Enriquez case. Again, despite there being no evidence of Barcelona committing crime. And also, I must remind Javier Tebas that UEFA did open an investigation, in fact, and they even sent investigators to Barcelona in order to collect files from the Barcelona offices. And even UEFA, after months of investigations, could not find any kind of evidence of Barcelona bribing or attempting to bribe referees. And therefore, they decided not to sanction Barcelona, and instead, they will await a final trial or a final court decision in order to see whether they're gonna act on the Enriquez case. Now, Javier Tebas was asked about Real Madrid because, as you might recall, or as I reported in previous videos, Real Madrid TV has been launching campaign after campaign, try to discredit referees and say that they purposely rule against Real Madrid in order to put pressure on these referees. And of course, Real Madrid do have a long history of being supported by the regime or by the dictatorship in Spain, because Real Madrid was the dictator's team. And when Javier Tebas was asked about Real Madrid being the team of the regimen and by the pressure they're trying to apply to referees with their media campaign, he had nothing to say, and instead he said, "First of all, I don't do those statistics. The media does them, and secondly, I didn't live through that time and I can't give an opinion." Now, these statements highlight the extreme hypocrisy of Javier Tebas, where on one hand we have Barcelona, who've been accused of influencing matches even though there's no evidence of that crime, and this is an ongoing investigation and an ongoing judicial process in a country where presumption of innocence does exist, but yet none of this matters to Javier Tebas, who continues to accuse Barcelona of this crime. And on the other hand, we have Real Madrid, who are actually influencing matches through their media campaign and by trying to put pressure on referees. And of course, we all know the history of Real Madrid, where they've been favored all through their history because they were the club of the regimen or the club of the dictator. And yet when it comes to Real Madrid, Javier Tebas has no opinion, which of course, it's very hypocritical. Now, Javier Tebas is not the only person to be asked about the Enriquez case. Pep Guardiola was also asked about whether Barcelona influence or try to influence matches through the hiring of Enriquez, and Pep Guardiola said, "Wait and see, let the justice, the process run. So far what I heard, I didn't see or read because I'm out of that, but I didn't see Barcelona really pay a referee to take a benefit. I didn't see that. I didn't read it. That's why I want to wait before I have an opinion, because Barcelona is going to defend what they have to do and we will see. What I'm pretty sure is when Barcelona won, it was because they were better than the opponents. That's I'm pretty convinced about right now in our day. We won because we were far better than our rivals, and when they were not, they don't win, they lose. But justice will decide what really happened." So strong statements by Pep Guardiola, making two things clear. First of all, that he cannot really have an opinion about the whole matter because this is an ongoing investigation and an ongoing case. And once there's an official finding by the courts, then he will give an opinion, which is how it's supposed to be with everyone, including Javier Tebas. And the second thing that Pep Guardiola is making it clear is that when he was the coach of Barcelona and Barcelona won, it was not because of the help of the referees. It was simply because Barcelona were way better than their opponents. And anyone that tells you that Barcelona won all those trophies thanks to referees, they definitely did not watch a single match from the Pep Guardiola era, because you did not have to be a football expert or a Barcelona fan to know that Barcelona won those matches, because they were absolutely demolishing all competition, not just in Spain, but on the European level as well, because Barcelona back then were the best team in the whole world and they did not need the help of referees. Now on to news that it's reported that Barcelona have made initial contacts with Corinthians for the signing of Gabriel Moscardo. Now, in case you don't know, Gabriel Moscardo is an 18-year-old defensive midfielder or a pivot who currently plays in Brazil for the Brazilian club Corinthians, and he was recently heavily linked with Chelsea. However, Chelsea are at an impasse where they've made two offers to Corinthians that have not been accepted, and therefore Barcelona are taking advantage of the situation. And it's reported that Deco has already reached out to Corinthians in order to begin negotiations for the signing of the young Moscardo. Now, Deco considers that Gabriel Moscardo perfectly fits the Barcelona profile for that pivot position, and Deco is not the only one to think that at the club. All the Barcelona scouts have submitted reports stating the same thing, that Gabriel Moscardo would be a perfect fit for the Barcelona style of play. And all the scouts reports are currently recommending that the club sign Gabriel Moscardo. So Deco has gotten to work in order to try to sign the Brazilian. Now, it's reported that Corinthians would ask for around 30 million euros for the signing of Gabriel Moscardo, which of course is doable for the club. And the reason Barcelona want to sign Gabriel Moscardo would be so they can have a substitute for Oriol Romeo, because Romeo currently does not have any substitute in his position. And also because Barcelona want a future bet for the pivot position, someone who can be at the club for many years to come, because after all, Oriol Romeo is 32 years old. Now, it's reported that Corinthians do have an upcoming election for president of the club, I think in November, and their current president will not be able to run again because he has exceeded or reached his term limit. So it's also reported that the signing of Gabriel Moscardo will heavily depend on who will be the next president. But nonetheless, Barcelona are already at work because they want to sign the youngster as a replacement or as a substitute for Oriol Romeo, and eventually as a replacement for Romeo in that pivot position. Now, it's reported that Barcelona will try to bring Gabriel Moscardo in January, so in the winter transfer market, because again, Oriol Romeo does not have a current substitute. But if Barcelona cannot sign Gabriel Moscardo in January, then they will try again in the summer of 2024. Now, we'll end today's video with the news that the former Barcelona coach Ernesto Valverde just gave an interview recently where he discussed several topics, and amongst them was Barcelona's DNA, where Ernesto Valverde called it a lie. Now, Valverde said, "I heard about the Cruyffism thing over 500 times. I must have learned something by having him as a manager. But I can tell you, even then, we used to throw long balls for Alessanco when we were losing. But yes, the DNA thing is sort of a lie." Now, ridiculous words by the former Barcelona coach Ernesto Valverde, who's calling Cruyffism or the Barcelona DNA a lie simply because he doesn't understand what the Barcelona DNA is. Because as Ernesto Valverde mentioned in his statements, he did coincide with Johan Cruyff in Barcelona when Johan Cruyff became his coach. And it's not a coincidence that when Johan Cruyff arrived in Barcelona, Ernesto Valverde became a substitute and didn't really have any protagonism under the Dutch's coach, because Valverde did not understand what the Barcelona DNA is and did not know how to apply it. And this became even more clear when Ernesto Valverde became the coach of Barcelona, because even though he did win some trophies with the team, he was never able to apply Barcelona's DNA, and under him, Barcelona played an extremely boring type of football. And it makes it very clear that Valverde does not understand Cruyffism or the Barcelona DNA. But this does not make it a lie. Simply, you don't know what it is. And just because you don't understand it, you don't get to call it a lie, Mr. Ernesto Valverde. If you want to know what Barcelona DNA is, just go ahead and watch Johan Cruyff's matches, watch Pep Guardiola's matches, even Luis Enriquez's matches, and then maybe you get an idea what it is. Because again, just because you don't understand it does not make it a lie. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.